Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, if you think you have the next great idea, the next Apple, the next Nike, you better get a patent. We'll be talking to one of the leading patent attorneys in the country next on the Jeff Crilley Show.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, the nation's icebox watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn. But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a
company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, this is a country of innovation, and every day someone is coming up with the next best thing since sliced bread. But if they're wise, they get a patent on it. And to talk about that today, Parrish Nordan, he is a registered patent attorney. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you having me today.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
Well, let's do some kind of 101 stuff. People will sometimes use the expression patent and trademark interchangeably, and they're completely different, aren't they?
Yes, they are completely different. First of all, a patent is for an invention rather than a slogan or a mark. So a patent provides you with the right to exclude others from using, making, producing, or selling whatever it is that you invent. Now, a trademark, on the other hand, a trademark provides you with the right to exclude others from using, let's say, a mark, slogan, phrase, any kind of mark or design that can be related to a certain kind of goods or services. But the key is that that mark must, when you see it or when a reasonable person sees it, you must be able to relate it to specific goods and services.
So for instance, the Nike swoosh is so iconic. If I took the Nike swoosh and changed it slightly, does Nike still have a claim?
Yes, Nike very much has a claim. I believe that a very slight improvement on Nike, which I fully
they would come after
support,
you.
yes, and I fully support Nike. They are a very good company and make very good licensing agreements. But yes, if you did make any kind of changes to their swoosh, I think that that would cause a likelihood of confusion. And that's one thing that the courts look for in trademark infringement cases is there a likelihood of confusion? So with that, if I saw very minute changes to that Nike swoosh, for me, it would confuse me as to whether that was, a genuine and authentic Nike product or one off of, let's say, some black market.
Yeah. And Nike, no doubt, has an army of attorneys ready to send you a cease and desist.
Yes, they do.
Let's talk about your journey, because you have a very successful practice. How did it start for you?
Well, I guess I would have to go back to the University of Alabama. So when I was at the University of Alabama, I was a biology major, loved it. After that, I mentioned to you earlier that I went to graduate school from medical sciences at Mississippi College. And it was there at Mississippi College that I realized I wanted to practice intellectual property law instead of have a career in medicine. The school that I wanted to go to was the Cumberland School of Law, and it was the best decision that I've made. So basically, my decision to practice patent law goes all the way back to college, having that life sciences background, that technical background that falls in the life sciences, as well as some engineering aspects here and there.
Absolutely. We're going to put up a page from your website about your practice areas. Let's talk about that, because you cover a wide range of specialties, don't you?
Yes, we do. And I would have to say that all of those are kind of tied together by a health tech and biotech connection. Let's start off, let's say my CBD clients, for instance. So there are a lot of CBD companies, especially startups now, And I'm not sure if you're aware, but Governor Ivey in Alabama recently signed a bill, which is going to happen in the state of Texas very soon. The bill has not passed yet. We're still waiting on the state legislature and Governor Abbott to sign that and get that through for us. But that is going to happen in the near, and it is almost imminent and impossible not to.
So tell us about some other areas.
Okay, well, some other areas that we really focus on are biotech and health tech companies. One of the largest, tech startups that I've worked with is a health tech company. And with that company, basically, I came in and did all of the legal compliance, the trademarks, the patents. We had a lot of artificial intelligence and deep machine learning patents in that tech company, including a neural data network. So that is another area that we actually focus on.
And let's talk about that. You have a prolific blog. We're going to put that up on the screen. More people want AI patents making prosecution harder. Talk about that one.
Okay, well, one thing that is actually making prosecution harder is going back to the Alice v. Mayo case. More people wanting AI patents. We really don't know what the court is going to say. We really don't know if the court is going to say, well, this invention is patentable or this one is not. Now, IBM has given us so many protests, and IBM, of course, holds the most patents in the world. But that is what it comes down to, is making prosecution somewhat harder, not only with the court's indecisiveness, but also, I guess, the deeper we get into today's technology, especially here in Dallas, with Dallas being America's largest tech and intellectual property hub.
You and I were talking before the show about catchphrases. Matthew McConaughey with his all right, all right, all right. If I got a trademark on that, or a patent, I don't know, I guess it would be a trademark. Can Matthew McConaughey come after me and say, hey, you're using my expression, it's been on film, everybody associates it with me?
Well, Jeff, that's a very good question. And again, as any attorney would say, that depends on the circumstances. I would not advise that you do that just to find the result. But when I hear that phrase, I personally do not think of Matthew McConaughey. That is, again, that depends on the circumstances. It would all come down to the goods and services that the trademark application would be related to. So again, when you hear it, it simply comes down to, what would a reasonable person think when they hear that phrase? And I'm going to take this even a little further. Let's look at Google, for instance. Google doesn't have a trademark on their name, but Google is actually trademarked under common law, because when you think of Google, you automatically think of Google. The controversy there comes in is who is allowed to use the term Google. Am I going to Google this, Google a search term, or are we referring to Google LLC, or the original, which is now traded Google Incorporated?
Absolutely. And you just recently moved to Texas, and a group that we're very passionate about, both of us, is Why Texas. We're going to put up the domain right on the screen. Tell us about Ed Curtis and Why Texas. Ed
Curtis and Why Texas have been extremely helpful and good in helping me relocate to Texas. Basically, I founded the company in Birmingham, and in Birmingham, I would say it had somewhat plateaued, whereas Dallas had just become a major tech and intellectual property hub. So Ed and I got to know each other. We had a few phone calls, and everything just seemed to work out. Ed connected me with some other partners and members in Why Texas, including a very, very good realtor at Briggs Friedman, who pretty much, you know, helped me come and get settled. But why Texas basically has just helped me in every aspect of my business. And, you know, as a member of Why Texas, that's what I'm willing to do as well, is companies that are looking to relocate to the state of Texas, especially bring your headquarters to Texas, and more specifically Dallas. That's what we're here for, is to help, to provide you with the help that other members of Why Texas provided me with.
And they make it easy. We only have a couple minutes left. How does somebody know when they need a guy like you?
Oh, absolutely. Every company, no matter how small, how big, whether you are still a one-man company, yes, you need an attorney. And what I like to do is come in and collaborate with the in-house counsel. So I will come in, take a small portion of equity, an annual retainer. And basically these companies, they know from the beginning, they have to build that intellectual property portfolio, get the legal compliance, hit the trademarks, hit the patents, the licensing, any franchising, increase the valuation of the company, bring in the revenue, and basically continue to additional rounds of funding.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest, Parrish Nordan. We're going to put up the website to end the segment. It's nordanlicensing.com. Parrish, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for having me. I am absolutely loving living in Dallas, relocating my headquarters, my business, and my life to Texas, and do not see myself leaving for the foreseeable future.
Well, as Matthew McConaughey might say, all right, all right, all right.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, that's it for now. We'll see you next time.